stressful, and the beer and wine helps us to relax. Well, guess what? We wake up from our fast at night. Our breakfast becomes stimulants, coffee, and donuts again. And we wonder why the heck we look old, we feel old, and we're basically earning diseases. We're earning poor health. Mm-hmm. So, this is a wake-up call for people. And it's sad to me, and I don't mean to go off on the show on a tangent, but I want to make a real important point. Most people that have come to my clinic to get well, you know what they do? They come to me after their house is on fire. And you know what I say to them? Hey, guess what? Why don't you come to me before your house gets on fire? So our poor diet and our nutritional deficiencies is a very serious problem, and it's one of the reasons why people are becoming so sick. Sarah, the third way we become sick is through a shrinking and a weakened glandular system, our endocrine system. Most people do not understand what their endocrine system is and what the glands do. And the glands are critical. And if you look at the glands and you start to really educate yourself on what they do, it is amazing. The pituitary, the pineal, the hypothalamus, the thyroid, the thymus, the pancreas is a gland, and most people don't know that. The adrenals, the reproductive, the ovary, the testes, all the reproductive glands. Now, what happens is as we age, the glands start to shrink, and when they shrink, they stop producing the hormones and the other chemicals that they are supposed to produce to make us healthy, alive, young, and vibrant. And then the fourth way is free radical damage. And free radical damage, let me tell you something right now, is devastating hundreds of millions of people. These free radicals that go into our body, that are in our body, that start to age us and start to destroy our body is absolutely weighing so heavy on our health.
Dr. Lindsay, this is great information. Can you give us any examples?
Sure, absolutely. From my clinic, I could give you thousands of examples. We'll take a male and a female. First, the male. A male comes into my clinic, has weakened endocrine system, which is showing up as low energy, low mental clarity, low sex drive, and I try to explain to this individual, look, the low sex drive is not a deficiency of Viagra or Cialis or any other type of pill that's going to stimulate your sexual desire or performance. It's not a deficiency. We must go deeper. We must go to the root and to the cause. And then he will look at me and say, okay, doc, what's the cause? And I'll say, the glandular system. And I'll say, when was the last time you fed your glandular system? And he goes, well, I don't know what my glandular system is. Exactly. We know more about our car than we do about our human body, about this temple that gets us through life. So what I do is I go in and I get these glands to start to secrete again. And when they start to secrete, this person calls me and says, my gosh, I feel amazing. What's happening? I feel like I'm 22 or 23 again. What caused this? And I said, we fed your glands. We fed your endocrine system. It started to expand and started to release these hormones that you probably haven't released in the last 20 or 25 years. And there it is. He's happy. I could take a female. Thousands of them. I have one in particular that I'm thinking of. She came to my clinic, had chronic fatigue, had Candida albicans, which is an overgrowth of a fungus that takes over the body and craves sweets and causes just havoc, wreaks havoc in our body. She had poor digestion, poor elimination through the bowels, no sex drive, and very severe mood swings. She became frustrated during the day for no reason, and then volatile, and then craved sugars, and went up and went down and went back up again, and her moods came back down. All I really did was follow these 4 steps. I cleansed and detoxed her body. I changed her diet. I got all these nutrients going into her body. I got the secretagogues working. I got the nutrients to secrete the hormones from the glandular system. And I went after the free radical damage. I got her body to start to utilize the benefits of antioxidants to consume or cleanse these free radicals, which then started to allow her body to help to heal itself. These 4 steps work 99.9% of the time.
Wow. Well, we've all heard about the toxins and how bad our diets are. But you mentioned two things that I would like to understand better. The glands and free radical damage. Tell me about these.
Well, and it's a great question because most people don't really understand the glandular system or how free radicals destroy our body. The key to the glands, Sarah, is to use what I call secretagogues. And there's not very many of them on the planet. Goji is a secretagogue. Acai berry from Brazil is a secretagogue. And mangosteen is a secretagogue from Thailand and from Southeast Asia. And noni from the South Pacific is a secretagogue. Now, when I talk about these noni or mangosteen or acai or goji, again, I'm talking about pure, undiluted, strong, bitter, potent juices. I'm not talking about these diluted, watered-down, sweetened versions that are sold by many of these marketing-type companies, or these companies that are focused on just making a profit. I'm talking about powerful, potent, therapeutic juices. However, a secretagogue is basically something that has the ability to go into the body and get the glandular system to secrete these hormones that make us feel so good. For example, as we age, our pituitary, our pineal, our hypothalamus, all of our glands, they stop producing these hormones. They stop secreting them. And if you can, I guess the best analogy would be to use would be they start to shrivel up. The glands actually start to shrink, Sarah, and they get smaller and smaller, kind of like a raisin. And when they get smaller, they lose their ability to release these critical hormones that make us feel sexual, that make us feel happy, that give us the zest for life, that make us feel energetic and upbeat and positive and just kind of like ready to take on the world. And so we start to lose our luster for life on all levels, mentally, emotionally, physically, sexually, on all levels. Secretagogues do the opposite. They bring these hormones back into our bloodstream and make us feel fantastic. So, but let me tell you, here's what causes the glandular system to become sick or weak or dried up like a raisin, like what I was talking about. Number one is age. As we age, everybody knows that the glandular system starts to shrivel or starts to shrink. Toxins. Toxins has a terrible effect on the glandular system, especially pituitary, pineal, hypothalamus, thyroid. The nuclear disaster in Chernobyl, or any nuclear disaster, what's the one organ that becomes damaged the quickest from the radioactive fallout?
Was it the thyroid?
Absolutely right. It's the thyroid. The thyroid absorbs the radioactive iodine from nuclear disaster. Why do you think the government creates iodine or thyroid pills in case there is a nuclear disaster? Because if you take it, your thyroid becomes filled with that chemical, that element, that iodine, and it will not absorb what's out in the air from a nuclear disaster. So that's why if anything ever happens, you have to rush to take that iodine. Well, what is the thyroid? It's one of the key glands. What damages it? Toxins. What's the king of all toxins? Nuclear fallout. Make sense? So all I'm really saying is, guess what? The lead paint, the asbestos, the herbicides, the fungicides, the pesticides, the larvicides, the glues, the formaldehydes, and all the other toxins are basically just beating the heck out of our glandular system, and we've got to learn to do something about it. Goji juice, Goji 100, mangosteen juice, noni juice, and acai juice are 4 true secretagogues that have the ability to get those glands to secrete again.
That's great information, Dr. Lindsay. What else damages and weakens the endocrine system? We're all listening. We're hungry. Teach us. Tell us.
All right. Well, EMFs shrink our glandular system. Just from the TV and from the computer and from all the electricity. Drugs, prescription and recreational, has a negative effect on our glandular system. Lack of proper or ample amounts of nutrients. Just this terrible diet that we eat and The food that doesn't have the proper amount of nutrients in it, that basically, Dr. Jensen said it very brilliantly when I was training with him for years. He said,